This screencast is going to be the creation instructions for the introduction paragraph of the Revolutions essay. The introduction paragraph should be written after you've already completed body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. After you have those two body paragraphs, we come back and we create our introduction. The introduction is serving to introduce the audience to our paper, provide some context into the issues of the time, and also stating our main claim. There's two parts to the introduction. The first part is the context of what a revolution is and why revolutions occur, and then we jump into the main claim, which previews both the arguments of body paragraph 1 and the arguments of body paragraph 2 in a more generalized way than the two smaller claims of those paragraphs did. Starting off, we're going to write the context. Let's jump onto the context task card to get an understanding of what should be in this section. Okay. Shooting for a 5 or 6, our context needs to provide accurate information about the historical, political, economic, social, and/or cultural conditions of the time period and source's origin. We don't actually have a source here. We're sort of thinking of the topic of the revolution in general, so we don't need to consider this part. But instead, we're going to consider the background info that our readers would need to know about revolutions in order to understand what's going to come throughout the course of this essay. So jumping back, I gave you some instructions along the side. The first thing we should do is hook the audience to our report. Then we'll explain what a revolution is. We'll talk about causes of revolutions, and we'll talk about effects of revolutions. More or less one sentence each. Starting off, we need a solid hook. The hook is your chance to grab your reader's attention, to excite them about your essay. For my hook, I'm just going to do this off the top of my head. And I'll start with human history did not occur as a single rise of civilization from our ancient hunter-gatherer roots to our present globalized nations. Instead, human history took place as a series of stories, including both successes and failures that led us to where we are today. This way I'm sort of explaining already. This is all in the hook, by the way. So this is more or less from your own opinion. You're trying to excite the reader. So I'm saying humans didn't just rise up to form great civilizations. Instead, there was rises and falls, both successes and failures that led us to where we are today. I'm now going to dive into what a revolution is and tie it directly back to my hook. When the people of a country are pushed to the actually, let's not go there yet. When the people of a country rise up against the government which rules them to force a change in the conditions under which they live, a revolution has taken place. period. So I've now done number 1 and number 2. And remember, there's lots of different ways to do these things. Your introduction paragraph should not look word for word like my introduction paragraph does. If that is the case, then something's gone wrong. So don't feel like you should be copying this exactly. Instead, consider this one way that you can write this, understanding there are many different ways. So when people of a country rise up against the government which rules them to force a change in the conditions under which they live, a revolution has taken place. Revolutions have varied causes, but in most revolutions, the initial, or let's say the revolutionary drive is fueled by oppression. When people are oppressed, either politically, economically, or socially, they have a point at which they will no longer permit the abuse. When people reach this point, the reaction is revolution against the government, period. So I'm doing much more than one sentence per thing. So I did my hook in the first 2 sentences. I did my revolution definition in the 3rd sentence. And then the 4th, 5th, and 6th sentences are all about the causes of revolution. I'm going to end it with the 6th sentence. Every revolution causes change in the country where it took place, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but usually both, period. I am now done with the context. I'm going to move into the claim, where I now go from the very general, talking about any revolution that could possibly happen, into the specific, talking about the revolution that we have studied in our specific essay. All right, now to deal with the claim statement. Our claim statement is going to introduce the entire argument of our essay. So, considering what the essay was about, we talked about both the causes of the revolution in your body paragraph 1 and the effects of the revolution in body paragraph 2. Your claim needs to introduce both parts. So opening up the claim skill card to check out what's going on. Out of 5, a claim needs to be clear, a claim needs to be organized, a claim needs to preview the main argument of the essay, and it needs to be somewhat significant. Going up to a 6, it needs to be clearly established. The significance needs to be clearly established. Consistently clear, so on. The 6 is just slight improvement on the 5. In order to get a 5 or a 6, you're really trying to have a clear, organized claim that previews arguments and shows significance. Okay. I'm going to go with the French Revolution. The French Revolution was caused by a series, let's say by a complex combination of oppressive conditions thrust mainly upon the Third Estate of France, including political oppression, economic oppression and social oppression, which then really clearly previews the first paragraph. So we said it was caused by a complex combination of oppressive conditions thrust mainly upon the third estate of France, including political oppression, economic oppression, and social oppression. If you want, you can go into more, like to talk a little bit about what kind of political oppression, what kind of economic oppression, what kind of social oppression. That might be pushing up towards a 6. Out of 5, just introducing that all 3 things were happening is enough, because you're going to go into more depth in your introduction or in your body 1 paragraph. Now we need to intro the second part, introduce the effects of the revolution, and caused both positive and negative effects for the people of France. Okay, so now I have gone on to say, actually, I should probably take a stand here and cause both positive and negative effects for the people of France. Overall, leading to more good than harm. That way, it ties directly to some of the things you said in body paragraph 2, wherein you said both positive and negative, but probably more one than the other. Depending on what you said in body paragraph 2, you should have one or the other here. Remember, you also don't necessarily need this part. You could leave it at cause both positive and negative effects for the people of France, or do any other variation. This is, I would say, the simplest claim structure that you could have in order to earn a 5 on the rubric. Anything less than this, and you would be at a 4. And to go up to a 6, you would need to be considerably more complex, including definitions of like what political oppression is, what economic oppression is, what social oppression is, and still following the same format. If you notice, this is boom, introduces the revolution, boom, introduces body paragraph 1, and right here, introduces body paragraph 3. Okay. Try yours out, check in with your teacher for help, and then go on to write your conclusion paragraph.